Former guest Jaron Ennis defeats SERGEY Lipinets in 6 rounds. Stay tuned. We've got more for you on BWTM Sports. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. Say what you want about BWTM Sports, but we have a 10-year track history of picking up good fighters. Some have gone on to be undisputed champions. Ennis is another one of those fighters on the list that we've picked up very early, done interviews with, and, you know, again, you can see the class in the young man. Now he's gone on and stopped the SERGEY Lipinets with a very impressive 6-round clean knockout of former 140-pounder SERGEY Lipinets. So it was Jaron Ennis' step-up fight. And with step-up fights, what we want to see is what the young man can do after fighting a certain amount of opponents that he's expected to beat. Let's see what happens when we put more opposition or better opposition in front of him, which is Lipinets. He fought against Mikey Garcia and got knocked out by Mikey Garcia. Let's see, you know, he's been a former champion. Let's see what this guy, SERGEY Lipinets, can do against Jaron Ennis. Is Jaron Ennis the truth? Is he a very good fighter? Or is he just a decent fighter? Let's see. And let's put him in with a guy who's not a fully blown welterweight. You know, a guy who's a really 140-pounder who moves up to, you know, who fights at welterweight. You know, he's not got the biggest punch, but he'll give a fight. He'll give a good account of himself. He'll work the body. He'll try and work and get inside. How does Ennis deal with that sort of pressure? You know, what is his defense like? How does he work his way around the ring? How does he establish with the jab? You know, how does he put his combination together? Is he really a big puncher? All these questions are being asked when a guy like him is fighting. So this is what they look for. You know, these executives, these people that are in a position of power to make the fights happen, matchmakers, PBC. This is what they're looking for, to see how far can this guy go? What's the next step for him, and how good a fighter he is? Okay, we've heard about what he does in the gym, but can he translate that in the ring? We've seen his performances so far, so now he steps up. Now, what can he do against a seasoned guy? So, you know, seasoned in terms of the guys he's fought. So we saw the usual hand speed of Ennis or Jaron Ennis. We saw him switching from southpaw to orthodox. That was good. We saw the fast combinations. That was good. And we saw the knockout power. That was good as well. All those things were good. Lipinets, as advertised, would come in, throw body shots. The overhand right was probably his best punch. His body shots were okay. And he was, you know, he wasn't fast of hand or foot, but Joe Goose was trying to encourage him to stay tight, get inside, and do work. And with a reach of 67 inches versus 72 or 74 inches, with that sort of a reach that Lipinets had, the only way he could fight was to force, engage, get inside, throw his best shots, and hope and pray that his punching power was enough to disrupt Jaron Ennis. In the end, the most disturbing punch that Lipinets threw was a low blow, which caught the attention of Jaron Ennis, and you know, hit him low, and he reacted to it. But otherwise, in the 6th round, he'd only gone 6 rounds in his career, and he stopped Lipinets in the 6th round with a beautiful shot, knocking him out cold. Beautiful performance from Jaron Ennis there. Now, if I'm going to be critical, and I guess I have to be critical, or I have to be areas that I won't say areas of concern Now, Lipinets is slow of hand and slow of foot, but yet he was able to tag and catch Jaron Ennis cleanly. And he's a 140 pounder, and he's not a big puncher. So there's room there for guys at 147 pounds of guys who, if they can punch and they have more reach, it will be interesting to see how Jaron Ennis deals with that against a guy who can really crack, you know, a puncher. So of course, that's the key makeup of any fighter. You know, that's all good when you're dishing it out. What can you do with a guy who has got dynamite in his fists? You know, can you take that punching power then? So that's the key for me. You know, the best chin is one that doesn't get hit. Jaron Ennis, for all his speed and all his movement, will still getting cracked with overhand rights. And for that, for me, I'm not asking for a punch perfect performance. What my point is, this is he's there to be hit. He's in there, and the exciting thing about Jaron Ennis, he's there, and he gets in the pocket, and he likes to throw punches. The same thing, which is his strength, is also going to be his kryptonite, because he stays in the pocket too long to get nailed with something back. And anybody who's going to give Jaron Ennis problems is going to have to be prepared to stand and fight with him, or to throw punches when he throws punches, you know, because that's where you're going to catch him, inside of a combination. So when Jaron Ennis is throwing a combination, you throw a combination as well. And this guy, Lipinets, slow hand and slow foot, I was still able to catch Jaron Ennis whilst Jaron Ennis was throwing his own explosive combinations. So that's a little concern there, whether Ennis has got the IQ to boxing IQ to reduce the amount of times he gets hit, because boxing is about hit and not getting hit. So if you can find a way of rolling out of those shots, not throwing as many punches in exchanges early, and maybe look to throw those combinations later on in fights, because you've got to obviously break the guy down, and you will get hit in boxing, but it's all about percentages in boxing. Getting hit as less as possible and still throwing your own punches. That way you reduce the dangers of you getting caught with something nasty on the inside on a counter, when you can be well doing your work and then getting caught on the counter. This is what can happen in boxing. You could be going about your work, doing your business as you usually do, and crack, you get caught. Jaron Ennis wouldn't be the first who would have suffered like that. There are many fighters in the history of boxing who've had a reputation of staying in the pocket too long and then get cracked with something nasty, and then afterwards, you know, that begins the beginning of the end of their careers. So that hasn't happened yet for Boots Ennis, but it's just something you need to look out. He was in against a smaller guy. He had all the advantages there. That won't be the case if he fought with Sean Porter, Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, Terence Crawford, and Manny Pacquiao. You know, those guys are seasoned guys. I won't make the mistakes. I won't have the disadvantages that Lipinets had tonight. So those are my thoughts on that fight tonight. Good performance by Jaron Ennis, Boots Ennis. Didn't have to do it against a guy. He had all the advantages over. And onward and upwards for Jaron Boots Ennis. All the best. And let's just see what he does as he moves up again against a guy who's a welterweight, who's an established name. Let's see what he can do. I think Ennis is definitely one for the future, or the near future. And with all this COVID and a pandemic and boxing being upside down, he looks hungry. He looks, I won't say he's ready for world title shot. I'd like to see him against somebody within the top 15 of the welterweight division. Maybe a guy, you know, even I see a guy like Ugas. It would be nice to see him against Colazzo. Yeah, I'd like to see how he does with guys. And Colazzo's experience, he can get on the inside, wily pro. Colapse would be nice. There's probably other welterweights around that sort of level at the moment. And see if he can make the adjustments again before stepping up into the bigger fights. I think guys like Lipinets could be around for a while, so let's appreciate him and, you know, step him up. But again, who else could I see him fight against in the welterweight division? I said Ugas, I said, would be an interesting fight. But sort of guy I think Boots this is someone like Sean Porter. Someone like Sean Porter is going to keep the pressure on, want to get inside, and will have a fight. That would be the sternest examination of Boots Ennis' style, because you've got Sean Porter's going to swarm and close the range down quickly. How does Boots Ennis respond to something like that? Those are the questions I would like answered at some point. But I think that's the sort of style that would be really exciting for Boots Ennis. And I think it would bring out the really best in this as well. Can he negotiate with his jab against a guy who's powerful and strong at the weight? Can he, and a guy who's experienced and tough and has all the know-how and fought all the best guys in the division? How does he deal a guy like that? You understand? You know, or a guy like Errol Spence, who's a southpaw himself, who's very good at throwing body punches, physically very strong, very good boxer, has got his own good jab himself, you know, works body well. Guy like Errol Spence, how does he handle that sort of style? Terence Crawford, a switch hitter, you know, orthodox southpaw, fellow switch hitter. That would be an interesting fight as well. But for now, Boots Ennis, you know, he's on the right path. Congratulations, good win, and look forward to seeing more of the young man. Congratulations, Boots Ennis. And of course, if you want to know anything more about Boots Ennis, check out our in-depth interviews with Boots Ennis on BWTM Sports. Thank you for watching and listening. We're out. Take care.